Let's do some Tim Pool. Everyone's favorite sentient beanie. Everyone loves Tim Pool. Did you guys know Tim Pool is a leftist? That's what they tell me. They tell me that Tim Pool is a leftist. I guess we'll find out. Let's see how Tim feels about Donald Trump saying, you know what? We should delay the election. We should delay the election. Let's see how leftist Tim Pool feels. Well-known Tim Pool feels about this.
This morning, Donald Trump tweeted out a warning that because of widespread mailer voting, this would be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in U.S. history.
Which would be false. We looked at the statistics earlier. Did you know that in the United States, in total, in 2020, there have been, was it 4 cases of actual, like, bad voting in the United States? Most violations of voting law comes with issues with ballots, where you or not where you are like things that people like you quiz people on. If Tim is a leftist, does that mean he stole your title of the furthest right-wing leftist? No.
He then went on to suggest delaying the election until people can vote safely and securely. Now,
yeah, no, that's not what he means.
Naturally, Democrats started to freak out in one of 2 ways. Either they were panicking, saying that this is it, Donald Trump is a dictator. He's going to try and delay the election. We knew this was happening. In fact, Joe Biden warned about this several months ago. And other Democrats and leftists started laughing, saying, aha, Donald Trump is truly desperate. The only reason he would suggest delaying the election is because he knows he's going to lose, and this is his last-ditch effort. And I think many Trump supporters and people on the right actually got this one correct when they said Donald Trump woke up, was, you know, half glazed eyes looking at his phone and just started mashing the keys and asked a question about delaying the election.
Why, after 4 years of him floating all of these fucking terrible ideas out, do we just go, you know what? Maybe he didn't mean it. And then he does the thing. You know what? Maybe he didn't mean it this time. How can you be so fucking stupid all the time? How can you be that stupid? I don't get it. Is it willful ignorance at this point? Is it a grift? So stupid.
He never said he was going to do it. He just asked the question. And of course, the media went insane because, let's be real, Donald Trump could tweet a gibberish word. He literally has. And it becomes an international news story and earns itself a Wikipedia entry. But fine. Because everybody is so obsessed with every little tweet from the president, and because real questions are being raised, I say we actually dig into this.
The President of the United States has floated the idea of extending the term of his initial election multiple times, Tim. Like dozens of times. He has been asked multiple times if he would peacefully hand power over in the situation where he just lost an election. Would he give up power peacefully? And he goes, I don't know. He has been asked more than once. Would you accept the results of an election should you lose? And he goes, probably not. And now he's like, you know what? Oh, by the way, he has floated out multiple times getting rid of term limits, getting rid of elections, and just being president till he doesn't want to anymore. Just being it. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's a theme. It's a fucking motif. It's oh God. Oh God. I don't know. It's like literally a motif is his fascism. I don't know how you can ignore it. I just don't know how you can ignore it all the time and make excuses for it.
Can
Tim the leftist.
Donald Trump actually delay the election? Well, of course, many journalists are saying no, and I believe it's fair to say they're technically wrong. You know what I realized from a lot of these stories about Trump raising the idea of delaying the election is that many journalists don't actually, use Google. They don't do any research, even the most rudimentary research, and they don't consider the context or historical context as to whether or not Trump could delay an election.
Last Tim Pool video we watched, he was utterly incapable of reading basic statistics. So yeah, let's go on Tim Pool and see how much context, how much research he really did. Let's go see Tim Pool.
And technically, he can by using Presidential Directive 51. Now, there's some arguments as to whether he actually could or couldn't do this, but I think it's fair to say, based on past articles and the information, I can actually show you that we do have a pretext for an extremely authoritarian measure the executive branch could carry out. Now, of course, I don't think Trump is actually going to do this. I don't think the election is going to be delayed, but I'll tell you what, man, we are in an unprecedented time. The economy is collapsing.
Donald Trump is in charge of the country and the economy is collapsing. Surprise. It's almost like we all told you this was going to happen.
GDP dropped like, 33% or some ridiculous number. We're seeing 180-something thousand deaths in this country from COVID. That one's a little complicated. Well,
It's not really that complicated. He didn't fucking do his job.
explain this later. The point is, Presidential Directive 51 gives the president extreme authority over the other branches, and we've basically already met the prerequisites for him to invoke Presidential Directive 51. Now, I know it's a very paranoid, idea that the president would try to enact a national continuity coordinator invoking this directive, giving him essentially authority over the other branches. I don't think it would happen. But
let's read it. I don't know if he's going to show it, so let's just read it. National Security and Homeland Security Presidential Directive 51. This was put into place in May 9th of 2007 because Republicans are dog shit. And Democrats didn't take care of this because they liked to use the drones. Purpose: this directive establishes a comprehensive national policy on the continuity of federal government structures and operations and a single national continuity coordinator responsible for coordinating the development and implementation of federal continuity policies. The policy establishes, The policy establishes national essential functions, prescribes continuity requirements for all executive departments and agencies, and provides guidance for state, local, territorial, and tribal governments and private sector organizations in order to ensure a comprehensive and integrated national continuity program that will enhance the credibility of all our national security posture and enable a more rapid and effective response to a recovery from a national emergency. Definitions in this directive. Category. First, the categories of executive departments and agencies listed in Annex A. We don't really need to deal with this stuff unless we have a question, I guess. Policy. It is the policy of the United States to maintain a comprehensive and effective continuity capability composed of continuity of operations and continuity of government programs in order to ensure the preservation of our form of government under the Constitution and the continuing performance of national essential functions under all conditions. Continuity requirements shall be incorporated into daily operations, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. What's an NEF? Can't see where an NES, whatever. NES, National Essential Functions. The following NES are a foundation for all continuity programs and capabilities, ensuring the continued functioning of our form of government under the Constitution, including the functioning of the three separate branches of the government, providing leadership visible to the nation. So the three separate functions of the government. What? If the three separate functions of the government are included in Section 51, then the president could not unilaterally delay an election. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. If, in fact, A, on national essential functions is the three branches of government need to fundamentally exist and function correctly, the president is not given unilateral anything. Let's see. There is this down in 6, but I mean, like, if it needs to... Okay. This doesn't seem to supersede that the three branches of government need to be functioning. Providing leadership visible to the nation and the world, maintaining the trust and confidence of the American people. This is like in a bunker type deal. Defending the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and preventing and interdicting attacks against the United States or its people, property, or interests. Maintaining and fostering effective relations with foreign nations. Protecting against threats to the homeland and bringing to justice perpetrators of crimes or attacks against the United States or its people, property, or interests, providing rapid and effective response to and recovery from the domestic consequences of an attack or another incident. Yeah, I can link the page. Here you go. Boink, boink, boink. Protecting and stabilizing the nation's economy and ensuring public confidence in its financial systems, and providing for critical federal government services that address the national health, safety, and welfare of the United States. The President shall lead the activities of the federal government for ensuring constitutional government. In order to advise and assist the President in that function, the Assistant to the President for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism is hereby designated as the National Continuity Coordinator. Okay, for continuity purposes, blah, blah, blah. Executive Department agencies, okay. This is just who the people will be. Here's the directors, who will be the directors of these things. General. This directive shall be implemented in a manner that is consistent with and facilitates effective implementation of provisions of the Constitution concerning succession to the presidency. What? So, yeah, he still needs to accept that he's being succeeded. With consultation of the Vice President and as appropriate others involved, heads of executive departments and agencies shall ensure that appropriate support is available to the Vice President. So, yeah. What? This is not intended to and does not create any rights or benefits, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by a party against the United States as agencies. Wow. George W. Bush. Got to put that there. So, this is not the case right now. Okay? National Security Presidential Directive 51 is in the case of, like, an attack on the country where the government has to move from D.C., it has to centralize somewhere else, and needs to maintain emergency power, assuming, in fact, that the government can't be maintained in a normal way. It does not mean we are in the middle of a global pandemic. It means that the literal fundamental way that we run our country is incongruent with the status of the country at large. So it would mean that, like, Washington, D.C. fucking got bombed or something. It would mean necessarily that you couldn't have Congress or the House show up in any meaningful way, whether electronic or otherwise, because maybe they don't exist. The Presidential Directive number 51 in no way gives the President unilateral power. It says so in Section A of the first set of parameters within Presidential Directive number 51 that says the government shall have functioning all three branches of government. The President merely leads the effort to maintain continuity because the executive office is the highest office in the land. It also says later on that succession of the president will happen as normal. If it's not able to be succeeded as normal, it will be handed to the vice president, who will serve terms until it can be successfully. You can just vote again. In no way does this give Donald Trump the ability to delay an election. Thank you. Corn wins again. Corn wins again. Wilford Brimley died! I'm actually kind of impressed. Pim Tool would have had to search through a lot of trash to even find this document, despite the fact that it does not mean what he thinks it means. I don't know if he did.
But let's be real. George W. Bush did create this. It does basically give the president the power, and Trump could argue the mass casualties around the world from COVID in the United States and the devastation to the economy grant him the authority to do so. So let's stop playing silly games. Trump woke up this morning.
It doesn't grant him the authority to do so. It doesn't. That is not factual. Wilford Brimley, R.I.P., bro. R.I.P. The diabetes walrus guy is dead. That's okay, because he's just a guy. So sorry about that if you love Wilford Brimley. He's got a good mustache. Well, not anymore. Actually, probably for a little bit. After you die, the hair still grows. But, yeah, diabetes. That's that guy, Wilford Brimley.
He tweeted out some nonsense like he often does.
Rest in oats.
But he needs to calm down. When he actually does something, we can freak out. But, hey, sure. Let's entertain the
idea.
Oh,
wait. I'm sorry, Tim. We have to wait until the president becomes a fascist dictator to freak out? Could maybe we have a proactive approach to fascist dictators rather than a reactive one? No? Okay.
And I'll push back on some of these journalists saying Trump can't do this, along with many other Democrats saying the same thing. Before we get started, head over to timcast.com.
No fucker. No fucker.
69 shares. Wow. They say Trump on Thursday suggested delaying the 2020 elections, something he does not have the power to do unilaterally, as he levied fresh attacks against mail-in voting. Now, I also want to make sure I point out, as we get into this, mail-in voting is broken. The media is absolutely lying endlessly because they're desperate to try and push mail-in voting through. I'm going to show you the evidence the mail-in voting is broken as well. And
we just looked at the statistics. It's not broken. It's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. All people that do the thing basically get caught. It's really hard not to get caught. It's really dumb to do it. Don't do it. You shouldn't try to fake anything. And by the way, most people that do it are right wing. I'm just saying.
Trump, he's right about this. Now, I don't know if we can predict that it will be the most inaccurate or fraudulent, but I do think it's fair to point out we are in for a wild ride because of mail-in voting. They say Trump, who is badly trailing presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden in national polls, framed the suggestion as a question and argued that with more mail-in ballots, there would be more fraud. Now, that is an overt fact.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You're wrong. There is no more fraud. There may be more fraudulent attempts, but that does not mean more fraud, right? It would actually mean that their votes would be void. You smell me? You picking up what I'm throwing down, Pim? You know what Tim needs? Tim needs a nice bath in the cleaning fluids of 14 gallons of creamed corn. I feel like if we filled Pim Tool's bathtub up with 14 gallons of creamed corn, well, God damn it, he'd be refreshed. His skin would be smooth and supple. He'd taste sweet like a fresh ear of corn. And he would end up with right opinions. It'd be delicious.
Period. There's no argument about this, okay? 2012 from the New York Times. Error and fraud at issue as absentee voting rises. All of a sudden now, all of these journalists are like, no, mail-in voting is fine, when for years they have been saying the margin of error, failure rate for mail-in voting is extremely high relative to in-person voting.
That failure rate and margin of error is not fraud. Oh my God. The claim is that fraud rises. No. Failure rate and margin of error? Sure. How can you... Okay. Oh my God. It's like saying, you know, if you do X, people will die from car accidents more often. And then you look at the data and it says, when people do X, it says that they end up having non-lethal car accidents more often. Sure, it's like adjacent. They're both accidents. They're both under the umbrella of accident, but they're not under the umbrella of fatal accidents. Mistakes on your ballot that you mail in from home is not voter fraud, you fucking fool.
They then go on to say, there is no evidence to support the idea that either absentee or mail-in ballots increase voter fraud. It also does not appear that there will be universal mail-in voting this fall, though some states require mail-in ballots. All right, they're going to make me do it. How about I pull this up? Yet votes cast by mail are less likely to be counted, more likely to be compromised, and more likely to be contested than those cast in a voting booth, statistics show.
Where's the fraud?
Election officials reject almost 2% of ballots cast by mail, double the rate for in-person voting.
That isn't fraud.
Mormon Jesus.
The New York...
Alex, thank you for the big raid. Hello. I am in a corn suit. I'm in a corn suit. Get over it. Accept the facts. I am a man. I'm a grown human man in a corn suit. Okay? Hey, can we get some cobbies in chat for the Raiders, okay? Nothing new for us? That's good. Do you mind if I eat popcorn? Yeah, just don't, like, flaunt it, okay? Those are our dead brethren in there, alright? Those are our dead guys. Yeah. Let's see. Make sure to follow. Make sure to follow your boy Alex. Holy shit, Jake. What are you talking about? Holy shit, Jake. How dare you? How dare you?
Her ramble was just a gorilla.
How fucking dare you, bro? What do you mean, holy shit, Jake? How fuck? Hey, I don't need that. I don't need that shit, okay? I don't need any of that, alright? Alright, who is Alex? Let's find out who Alex is, chat. Let's hang out. See, I'm following. I'm following. Are you following? You played some No Man's Sky today? That looks exciting. My girlfriend no-lifed No Man's Sky quite a bit recently. It's a very soothing game. I'm bad. I'm bad. Anyway, we're yelling at Tim Pool, who is an idiot. Tim Pool is an idiot, and he is bad. Okay? Thank you, Atracita, for following. Hey, if you're not following and you want to hang out, that's great. We have a really cool community here. We do. Alex is Pay Money Wubby's caregiver. Did I say he when I said Alex? I might have. Chat is chat. Pay Money Wubby's caregiver. Explain. She feeds and waters Wubby? Ah, a good meme. Well, if you like to yell at people who are stupid, boy, are you in for a treat. You came from a nice, peaceful place where everyone's just like happy and enjoying a nice, chill stream, and I'm over here screaming at a grown man in a beanie. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So let's get back into it. Thanks for hanging out. Also, by the way, if you're a member of the LGBT community, you may notice, or if you're just an ally or whatever, you may notice up there we got flags. Top donators and stuff during hype trains get to pick the flags that represent themselves or somebody else. So these are community picked flags. They change every single stream. And if sometimes you want to be I don't know, represented specifically, you may do that. Oh, and then I have a Sargon of Akkad body double, which to the untrained eye looks exactly just like a Sargon of Akkad sex doll, but really, if you look closely, it's actually a trash can, which I know is confusing because it looks very similar to just normal Sargon of Akkad. But yeah, so we did Sargon videos earlier, so that's it. Yeah, and then we do have Darwin and Ellie under the flags, and then a cowboy, and then some other stuff, some memes. The corn is a thing that these people want, and I don't know why. It's just a thing that they like, and it happened, and so now let's yell at Tim! Let's continue to yell at Tim. She waxes his legs, make sure he's always in top form. That's so nice. Used to watch some old YouTube vids. Good to see your stream. Hey, thanks, Melho Yelho. Questionable about the grown part? I'm pretty grown. Fuck that idea. I lived in Florida for a little bit. I lived in Merritt Island, Florida for quite some time. Well, quite some time. Like 2 years. It was nice. And also shitty at the same time. Anyway, make sure to follow. I'm going to pop a link one more time. Make sure to go over and follow Alex. Very nice of you. Very nice of you to raid. Appreciate it. Anyway, so Tim Pool is saying that Donald Trump saying that he should extend the election cycle so that Donald Trump doesn't lose. He says, Tim says, not factually, he's lying about this, that Donald Trump could totally do that. And now he is saying that voter fraud is a big, big problem, and he is citing something that says, yeah, if you mail in a ballot, the likelihood that they are rejected is higher because there's mistakes. Having mistakes on a ballot is not, in fact, voter fraud. He is wrong and stupid and dumb.
New York Times, October 6, 2012. But sure, The Hill, there is no evidence to suggest mail-in voting is busted or broken. Dude, 2% of votes? You know how big that's going to be? It's going to be millions of votes. Trump won some states by thousands of votes. Stop playing games. Here's what Trump tweeted. with universal mail-in voting, not absentee voting.
There's Shoe.
Which is good. 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. It will be a great embarrassment to the USA. Delay the election until people can properly, securely, and safely vote? Well, in response to this, we got a trend. President Pelosi. Because people started saying, well, if Donald Trump, doesn't get reelected because there's a delayed election, on January 20th, it goes to the next in line, which would be the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi.
You can't read what Shoe's saying, but it's probably good. 2020 will be the most inaccurate and fraudulent election in history. Seems like damage control, my man. What if you win? And then Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. I love the smell of Trump panic in the morning. He wakes up with a panic in his eyes. The definition of a guy who is in over his head. What's remarkable is that he hasn't learned that he could just ask somebody, hey, is that legal? Before tweeting. But he just won't do it. And they say he woke up bright and early and was like, I got shit in my eyeballs. I'm all sleepy. He did this at almost 9 a.m. The dude wakes up at like 6. Orange Man is bad. Unironically, the Orange Man is dog shit. Not just bad. Smith 50. With context and nuance, Donald Trump is a dog shit human being and a worse president. And you can take that to the bank. He's fucking garbage. Garbage? He's fucking garbage. Yeah, he's absolutely fucking terrible, okay? And not just like a little terrible. The dude's abjectly terrible. You could probably mathematically prove how fucking awful he is at his job, okay? Right? So don't come in here with that fucking, Orange Man bad. The libs are saying nasty thing. Get the fuck over it. He's fucking bad. He's really bad at it. And if you disagree, oh boy, did you come to the right place. Because I will fucking bury you in corn. I will bury you in corn. Brave? Wait, Nick, are we talking about do we say things only because they're brave, or maybe do we say things because they're true every once in a while? Does a statement have to be brave to be true, Nick? Nick? Hey, Nick, does a thing have to be brave to be valid and true? I would love to know the answer to that, Nick. You fucking big-brained idiot. Osiris Jansport. That's what I thought. That's what I fucking thought, Nick! Now you're a big-brained smarty pants. See how fast that happened? Garberman? Thanks, ICN, for following. Appreciate you. Don't think you can come in here. Don't think you can come in here and not get buried, okay? You say something dumb, oh boy, I got an open door policy, okay, my friend? If you're not ready to engage in this bullshit, then you better leave right the fuck now and go back to watching your video games, kid. Okay? If you think you can walk into my chat, okay? You think you can walk into my chat and say dumb shit, you better fucking leave right now. Because I got a Discord and I will embarrass you in front of all these people. It happens daily. Let it be known. Smith 50, you don't get to be buried in corn, okay? I'm not dealing with your fucking fetishes right now.
Pelosi, she would become president because Trump would be forced to vacate the White House. Technically.
I don't want
no.
I don't want Nancy Pelosi to be president.
Oh, if Trump really wanted to, he could do basically whatever he wants thanks to your pal George W. Bush. Now, to be honest, it's not even necessarily George W. Bush. There's something called Presidential Directive 51
that we already read and does not give the president unilateral power. For an overview of people that want to know what Presidential Directive 51 is, that just maybe joined the chat, that maybe hasn't been watching the video from the beginning, Presidential Directive 51 was voted into law in 2007 under the Bush administration by people scared of things blowing up and scared of losing power. They wanted to continue to move forward on their fucking Operation Iraqi Freedom bullshit, but we're also worried about retribution from the rest of the world. Basically, in the scenario where the government could no longer physically function because maybe the DC got blown up or something, they had to operate the government from the bunker. Presidential Directive 51 basically says, here are the parameters in which we will continue to run the government. The executive office needs to be We need to make sure that the executive office maintains certain authority. We need to make sure that we protect people. We need to make sure, basically, that we keep face in the situation that maybe we get fuckered. Okay? Can I be buried in corn now? No, I am not easily bought. Okay? Now, Smith 50. If you gift like Dr. Gamble 50 subs tonight, we can discuss burying you in corn. Okay? We can discuss it. All right, Snow Bunna Carry. I appreciate the solidarity of that little corn there. Execute Order 69. So basically, by the way, and the most important part of executive the presidential directive 51 or whatever. This is a Department of Homeland Security thing. It doesn't give the president unilateral power at all. It maintains the powers granted to each branch of government. It says it in the first thing. The first directive listed is the government will operate as normal. No one gives unilateral power. So, too rich for your blood? Well, okay then. That's what I said. No, I'm not easy to buy, okay? Is going to be whole ears of corn or off the cob corn? Whole ears. Just pick one off. Pick one out of the field right up there.
Which I believe you could argue Trump could invoke.
What if that many subs is 32% of my monthly income for my family of 3? Then you shouldn't do it. Bury me, Jake. I can offer you express ticket to heaven. No.
He wants to. I'll get to that in a second. But let's move here. I want to show you this. Don't let it happen.
Heaven sounds fucking horrible, for the record. Eternally worship me, peasant. That's heaven. Don't do it. Say no to Christ.
Says Reuters. Democrats, including Biden, have already begun preparations to protect voters and the election amid fears that Trump will try to interfere with the November election or dispute results.
Yes.
Particularly if the final result is delayed by late arriving mail-in ballots.
Yes.
They're straight up telling you what's going to happen. Both sides have been doing so. Both sides are accusing each other of cheating, and they're both kind of preparing for what they think Trump or the other will do. Notably, Biden is saying there's going to be potentially late arriving mail-in ballots. This is going to be a nightmare. An absolute disaster of an election. No one's going to trust it. Missing.
Hey, make sure to follow my man, Bobby Fino. Make sure to follow Bobby Fino. In chat there. Okay? Make sure to do that. Good buddy of mine. We do a podcast tomorrow morning called Sunday. That's tomorrow, right? Tomorrow morning called Sunday Service. Where we talk about all sorts of shit. Great guy. Fantastic guy. Been playing a lot of Minecraft lately. After poo-pooing it for like 2 years.
Ballots, missing votes. How is anyone going to know their vote was actually counted? An experiment done, I believe, by CBS found that 3% of the dummy votes they sent went missing. In fact, all of the votes went missing initially, and they had to argue with the post office to try and figure out where they went. They did an experiment where they mailed in a bunch of fake ballots. All of them disappeared. Finally, if you're talking to a manager...
Okay, can we talk about people that say experiment instead of experiment? All right. After the Glorious Revolution and after we allow, like, we take over the government and we you know, we abolish gender and everything like that, the first people up against the wall are people that say experiment, okay? All right? After that, people that say miracle instead of miracle, okay? Then after that, people that don't return the carts to the little thing in the shopping market. Shopping market? Malk. You're on the fucking wall. 100%. Milk and malk are the same thing. People that say pillow instead of pillow, you're on the wall. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I knew a person that said salsa instead of salsa. The fuck is that shit? Get out of here. People that say Chipotle instead of Chipotle, gone. Nuclear instead of nuclear, leave. Walk into the ocean. You're done. Envelope instead of envelope, yup. Get the fuck out. Tiger, what even is that? Instead of tiger or something? I don't even know what you mean. I can't even read that. Breakfast instead of breakfast. Oof. Your mom says breakfast. Can we spare her? Let's just say she should live life a little wildly before we take over, Space King Dave. Library? Oh, instead of library? Yeah. Yes, walk directly into the ocean. Not a fucking not happy with that, okay? Mirror instead of come here. Whew. Cannot handle it.
They found the stack, and 3% were missing. That is a massive margin of error. We'll see how things play out, but they say polls have shown that U.S. registered voters oppose the idea of election delay. When Reuters Ipsos in April asked voters if they thought the election should be rescheduled due to the coronavirus, 59% opposed the idea, including a majority of voters in each party. A sitting president is peddling lies and suggesting delaying the election to keep himself in power,
yes,
said Democratic Rep Dan Kildee, writing on Twitter. Don't let it happen. Every American, Republican, Independent, and Democrat should be speaking out against the president's lawlessness and complete disregard for the Constitution. Look.
Yes. True. Yes. How does this compare to in-person voting? In-person voting has a 1% rate of failure. Mail-in voting has a 2% rate of failure.
How triggered these people get because the president woke.
Why is it triggered? Why do you misuse the word triggered? How about people are justifiably upset that a person is trying to congeal more power to their fucking already jelloed frame?
Up and lazily tweeted a question about delaying the election. He didn't even say he was going to do it. He could have been asking this, suggesting that Congress do it. Because apparently the power falls with Congress to actually delay an election if they do. Apparently we've never done it. But Trump didn't even say, I will do this. He said, should we? And a bunch of people said, no. But of course now they'll take it to the most extreme possible and say, oh, Trump's trying to cheat an election. Sure.
Her ramble was just a gorilla.
Smith 50, thanks, buddy. Why do dumb people who think they're smart think Donald Trump is playing 5D chess? I don't get it. What is it about the allure of thinking the president is like playing games? What is that? Is it the same type of high people get from like 9/11 was an inside job? Like that kind of shit? Like it's conspiracy theory and they just think that like, oh man, I know the truth, brother. And it's like why? Why? I don't understand this like fetish with the idea that Donald Trump is like anything other than a big fucking idiot. Like this kind of shit is the same. It's the same energy, same fucking energy as a Ben Garrison comic. Same shit. Donald Trump doesn't look anything like this shit. Same fucking energy though, right? Where it's just like, come on, man. When the indoctrination hits.
Check this out. On July 18th, Joe Biden says he receives briefings warning of Russian and Chinese election interference. Here we go. Both sides have now argued there could be foreign interference. Of course, when Trump says it, the media freaks out and says Trump, with no evidence, suggests that the foreigners will interfere. Well,
when's that happened? Has Donald Trump said that he was worried about foreigners interfering with the election, and then other people were like, nuh-uh, because that literally happened? Who would... If Donald Trump admitted that the Russians fucked with the election, I'd be kind of happy he admitted it, finally. What?
Joe Biden said they're literally doing it too. What's the context? The way in which they interfere? Spare me, dude. They're both saying the same thing. And
no, they're not saying the same thing. They're not saying the same thing, Tim. Joe Biden is saying foreign governments are meddling in our election cycle to try to destabilize the country. Donald Trump is saying American citizens aren't responsible enough to vote legally.
Along comes Rep. Nadler and Tim Kaine. Nadler says, let's be clear. Trump does not have the ability to delay the election. Our elections are enshrined in the Constitution. The Constitution also says that if the date of the election is to be changed, it must be changed by Congress. That's fantastic, except you're ignoring the fact that when George W. Bush signed Presidential Directive 51, Congress was unable to do anything about it. Now, it could be challenged perhaps if Trump does try to
What do you mean Congress wasn't able to do anything about it? In Presidential Directive number 51, it says explicitly that the 3 branches of government will operate as normal. It is part A of like a 10-part subgrouping of all the rules that go into that. It's the first group. It's the first set of rules.
invoke it, but if Trump invokes it, he'll have done it. This is a problem.
He can't invoke it. He can't. It is not for the president to invoke.
With not holding the different branches accountable. Don't come and cry now when you've been in office for decades and never did anything about it. Here we have Tim Kaine saying,
He said millions of illegals voted for Hillary? That isn't a foreign government doing that. That isn't, see, that's not an action by a sovereign like nation state, right? That's a totally different thing. That's basically, in his eyes, Mexican people without IDs voting in elections, which isn't a thing. It's not a thing.
President cannot delay an election. The date of the election is established.
Has anyone ever gone to vote? Like, have you gone to vote? You have to give them your social security number. If you don't have a social security number, it will not go through. You also have to be a member of that community, and you have to have an address in that community. They check. Some states offer also you have to have an ID. They check. If I was to go to my precinct, like if I was to go to my old precinct and try to vote, I wouldn't be able to. Just wild. Just wild.
By Congress. It was established in 1845. There is no ability for a president to delay an election. Well, back in, I believe, April, Trump shoots down allegation he may delay election day, calls suggestion propaganda. He still hasn't even done it. He simply asked the question. The allegation he may delay it. Now they're all freaking out. How obvious was that? Here's what I love from Vox. No, Trump can't delay the election. The law is very clear about this. They even going to say this. Let's deal first with Trump's claim that universal mail-in voting will somehow lead to inaccurate or fraudulent results. There is no evidence whatsoever supporting this claim. Ugh. Do we really have to do this over and over again? Let me tell you something. To the people who only get their news from Vox, is
that a thing? Wait. Is there a subset of people in the world that only get their news from Vox? Is that a thing? I've never heard of that. Who exists that does that? I don't know anybody that actually reads Vox regularly, let alone only gets their information from Vox. Statistically, there's probably like a few people, but it's certainly not a lot. People absolutely think this guy's a leftist. They're idiots and grifters and always on the right. They go, Tim Pool says he's a leftist. He's not a fucking leftist. What does he advocate for that is left-leaning ever? When has Tim Pool ever... When's the last time you had Tim Pool, like, say, you know what, I think we should get rid of unjust hierarchies? Never. Not one time. He's never said these things.
Enough that I've shown you a source from the New York Times from 2012 saying, yes, as we expand mail-in voting, it gets worse? Is that not enough? There's still no evidence? These people aren't journalists. They're just making things up.
Oregon became the first state to adopt this practice in 2000. Since then, the state has provided over 100 million mail-in ballots to voters since 2000. It has only documented 12 cases of fraud. Huh.
Universal mail-in voting refers to a practice where states automatically mail a ballot to all registered voters within the state. A ballot that can then be cast by mail or returned in person to various polling sites. According to the Brennan Center for Justice, 7 states, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Utah, Vermont, and Washington, are vote-by-mail states.
Is he going to read this? Let's see.
Vote by mail is not a new practice.
Oh, here we go.
They go on, explain, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, shit! Weird. Fucking weird. They go on to explain, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what I fucking thought, Tim. Oh, by the way, it has a 1 in 10 million chance. I did the quick head math. 1 in 10 million chance of having a bad fraudulent ballot. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, motherfucker. God, this is... They're so fucking transparent, dude. If you were being fair and balanced, you'd fucking read this. You'd read this and go, you know what? Maybe I'll change my opinion on this. No, of course not. Of course not. Fucking got him.
Yes, it can lead to problems. So let's okay.
They started citing facts, and he's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Let's just move on. Look at him. He fucking literally left the page. He's leaving it. He's not going to talk about this anymore. Amazing.
Deal with what Vox is saying. No, Trump can't delay the election. I will play that game and argue, as I've said. I think he can. We'll see. I'm not a lawyer, mind you. But let's do...
Yep, just totally fucking... As soon as it said something that he didn't want to share on screen and read out loud, he's like, okay, done with that fucking article. Jesus Christ. And then he scrolled away from it. Wow. Wow.
Do this. July 13th. Signed, sealed, undelivered. Thousands of mail-in ballots rejected for tardiness. That's right.
So they're late. So they were late. They were rejected because they were late.
If the New York Times in 2012 wasn't good enough, how about July 2020 from NPR?
So they were late. That's not fraud. What?
Where they mention, an NPR analysis has found that in the primary elections held so far this year, at least 65,000 absentee or mail-in ballots have been rejected because they arrived past the deadline, often through no fault of the voter.
Sure. So here's what we should do. Instead of getting rid of mail-in ballots, maybe we should, extend the amount of time American citizens have to vote. Why are we against having a voting week or a voting month? Why isn't the entire month of November devoted to voting in the election? Surely, in 30 days, you can find yourself to an election center. I wonder what the reason could be. Is it to make sure that people that have to work on the day that we vote don't get to vote? We don't want more voters. It's on a fucking Tuesday. By the way, it's November 3rd. It's on a Tuesday. We vote on Tuesdays. One day. Do you think maybe, Tim, we ought to extend the amount of time that people have to vote? Even by a week. Let's say the first week of November. Let's get weird. Let's get weird and just give them 7 days. We'll see what happens. How many fucking low-income people get to actually vote? And by the way, the polls are only open for what, 6 to 6 or something like that? 6 to 8? 14 hours of a day. Not 24 hours. 14 hours of a day. You can't even do it late. It's a fucking joke. This is democracy? Fucking joke. There's so many people that are pay-gated out of this shit. Are you kidding me? There's so many people. So many people that just don't have time for that. Oh, wait. A lot of people. My mic undid for a second. There's a lot of people that, like, work multiple jobs or have kids to deal with. Or they're just working the whole time. Maybe they work shift work. Working 12 hours. They have to take the bus. Their house is far away from the voting site. Like, lots of different reasons. You just can't get to it. Maybe some people are sick on that day. You know? Extraneous circumstances. Like, why are we limiting the voters? Why? Why do that? Why not give them the option to in-person vote? Why not give them the option to mail-in vote? Why not give them the option to absentee vote? Oh, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to vote early. Ooh, Teacher Jake, I know. It's because right-wingers don't want poor POC voters to get their voice heard because then they'll lose. That's it. The only way to have a fair election is to deport all the illegals. I'm going to deport you. Deported. You're an idiot. I don't even care if you're trolling. You're just fucking deported. Fucking... Alright. Back to fucking Canada with you. Deported. Fucking idiot. God. We gotta get rid of the illegals. You need a social security number. You need to be a member of the community. You need to be registered to vote. How? How could you possibly do that? This guy, he's clearly like 16, has never voted. Get the fuck out of here, idiot. I'm going to bully you. Meet me in the fucking parking lot after school, idiot. I'm going to steal your lunch money and push you into lockers and take your girlfriend. Or boyfriend. I'm not bi. It'd have to be a girlfriend. I'll steal your boyfriend anyway. We're not going to date, but we'll hang out. I like your gay boyfriend.
And there it is. Can we be done with the lies from these other media outlets and Democrats that there's no evidence to suggest mail-in voter fraud will lead to problems? Donald Trump is right. Mail-in voting widespread will create very serious problems.
No, he's wrong. I just explained why.
I don't understand how this is so hard for many of these leftist news organizations, journalists, pundits, and Democrats.
Spite bisexuality is the best gun.
When you have prominent and high-profile news outlets saying, prepare for absolute chaos.
No. No, I don't even know. Do you guys know what a mail-in... Here, look. Mail-in ballot. Oh, oh, oh. No, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. So here's what kind of like a mail-in ballot looks like. So you have to fill out a fucking application, okay? Let's just open her up. Let's open her up. You have to fill in an application to get a mail-in ballot, right? Let's see what kind of things you need. Your last name, your first name, your birthday, your phone, your email, your fucking address. How long have you lived at that address? Where was your last address? Your driver's license number, your social security number. Oh yeah, look at all that fucking fraud you can do. It's not like if this is incongruent, they're not just going to fucking send you one. They're going to be like, hey, this doesn't seem right. And if you are actively fraudulent on here, because these are looked over by people that exist, you're going to be in jail for trying to get incorrect information. Like, what? You can't do that. That's not a thing. Mail-in ballot. They're very secure. Oh, my God.
We have this, as I showed you, from 2012. Error and fraud at issue as absentee voting rises. But if that wasn't enough, how about the New York Times from July 17th, 2020?
All right, let's talk about it.
3 weeks after primary, New York officials still can't say who won key races. Tens of thousands of absentee ballots in New York are still uncounted, and many races have yet to be called. What will November look like? 538 said in April, few states are prepared to switch to voting by mail. That could make for a messy election. Are we done here?
No! The reason it's messy is because you want to limit it. If we had implemented this years ago when people said, hey, we should expand voting rights to people and make it easier for people to vote, and the Republicans went, no! Because then brown people will vote against me. And then we're like, I mean, have you considered appealing to brown people? And maybe, I don't know, saying things that are more popular and running on platforms that people like? No! We want to be racist, and I really want to say the N-word really, really bad. And I don't know. It's sort of irrational. I don't really know why. Okay, but have you, like, maybe, just hear me out. Hear me out. You are afraid of losing elections. Yeah! Because if we let people vote, they'll vote against you. Yeah! Are you anti-democracy? No. Are you for it? Only if I like it.
All right, let's talk about why people want mail-in voting and the crisis that we're facing and the power that Trump does have, which could give him the ability to do a whole bunch of crazy things. So as most of you know, right now we have around 150,000 or so COVID deaths in the United States. This is, I would consider it to be a catastrophe, right? Now, many people have blamed
Because you're a big fucking dumb.
Donald Trump, but to be fair, the Democrats played a huge role in this. The governors, particularly Andrew Cuomo, Bill de Blasio, and many other states that reacted too late, told people to go out, or put sick patients into nursing homes. In fact, very early on, we saw this from New York in April. Like 9/11 every day. A New York pandemic's coronavirus diary.
Pretty sure that says paramedic, not pandemic.
Senior paramedic Anthony Almahera describes what has now become a typical day for medics in a war with an invisible bullet, as New York State records 777 deaths in a day. It's tragic. It's tragic, man. It's scary.
It's tragic, but I'm not going to put the onus on my shitty president who fucked up at all. I'm not going to be mad at the guy who openly, under the executive office, the most powerful chair in the United States and the world, who from the Resolute desk decided that it was more important to stand some cans of beans than it was to tell his fellow Republicans to wear a fucking mask. He couldn't just accept the fact that the epidemiologists were correct, that the CDC was correct, and maybe, just maybe, shut the fucking country down and give people some money so that they can live just for a little bit so we can get back to normal as fast as possible. Instead, what you did is you said, you know what? Fuck people, fuck ethics, I'm all about that money. And guess what? It fucking failed because guess who you need to make money? You need the fucking working class. So guess what, motherfucker? We're burning this shit to the ground, and you're coming with us. And I don't feel bad about it. Burn everything. Burn it all. Burn it to the ground. Burn, burn, burn. Burn, 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 burn. Burn, burn. With fire. All the time. Burn it. Burn it all. If you see something, burn that thing. How does anyone with this smooth brain fucking is a fucking leftist? Jesus Christ, man, yeah, he's so stupid. He's the dumbest.
Her ramble was just a gorilla.
Osiris Jansport. Nice backpack.
So I can understand why many people don't want to vote in person. But putting that aside, I want to make sure it's clear, vote by mail will lead to very serious problems, and we are dealing with a catastrophe, which I'm bringing up on purpose to show you this. National Security and Homeland Security Presidential Directive.
The directive that I read, and instead he goes to the Wikipedia page of.
I've talked about this a bit in the past, but it needs to have a more, it's not going to be a comprehensive.
When are we going to go hunt the homeless for sport? Oh no, we're gonna criminalize homelessness first. So they're just going to all be in jail.
Deep dive, but I want to show you what the left was saying when this was signed into, I don't know how you say it, signed into law. I don't know. It was signed by George W. Bush on May 4th, 2007. They say the National Security and Homeland Presidential Directive, sometimes simply called Executive Directive 51, signed by George W. Bush, is a directive establishing a comprehensive policy on federal government structures and operations in the event of a catastrophic emergency.
Yes.
Such an emergency is defined as, quote, any incident, regardless of location, that results in extraordinary levels of mass casualties, damage, or disruption, severely affecting the U.S. population, infrastructure, environment, economy, or government functions. Well then, that sounds like we are already in the midst of, look, the prerequisites have been set. Donald Trump could theoretically invoke Presidential Directive 51, and one of the biggest criticisms about Directive 51 is that any president could just do it anyway. Of course, people would probably revolt if done improperly, but what would happen if Trump actually said, I am going to...
Yeah. If Tim Pool is acknowledging the fact that the pandemic is claiming a lot of lies, but he is against mail-in voting, even if it's just for the election, to protect people, sounds like Tim only gives a fuck about his daddy Trump. Oh, really?
Vote Directive 51, establish an enduring constitutional government,
yes,
which gives him, the president, the ability to coordinate the other branches. And
No, means a cooperative effort among the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of the federal government, coordinated by the president in a matter of comity, with respect to the legislative and judicial branches, and with proper respect to the constitutional separation of powers among the branches. It literally says, not unilateral power, you fucking idiot. It literally says it right there. With proper respect for the constitutional separation of powers in the branches, to preserve the constitutional framework under which the nation is governed and capability of all three branches of government, to execute constitutional responsibilities and provide for the orderly succession, appropriate transition of leadership, and interoperability of the support of the national essential functions during a catastrophic emergency. It says the opposite of the thing that you're saying it says. Timothy Poole, you fuck.
Good call.
Crimson 11, thank you so much for giving Snow Bunny and 50 a subby. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. This is so fucking... I cannot... Can we stop the video now? Can we be done and move on to wholesome things? Holy shit. It's so dumb. He's still got 10 more minutes of this shit.
And thus control what we do as a nation. Now, he may not necessarily, even under those powers, be able to delay the election, but he could look, there's no... It's hard to know what the limits of these powers are, and theoretically...
The limits of the powers are proper respect for the constitutional separation of powers among the branches, so he doesn't have unilateral power. It says it right there. If you just read past, coordinated by the president, if you read past this part right here, you could just, like...
Theoretically, Trump could do a whole lot of crazy things. They say the source text for Directive 51 repeatedly affirms constitutionality and specifically states that recognizing that each branch of the federal government is responsible for its own continuity programs, an official designated by the chief of staff to the president shall ensure that the executive branch's continuity of operations and continuity of government policies in support of the enduring constitutional government efforts are appropriately coordinated with those of the legislative and judicial branches in order to ensure interoperability and allocate national assets efficiently to maintain a functioning federal government.
He read the thing that says he doesn't have unilateral power out loud just now. This is insanely fucking dumb, and fuck you, Tim.
I want to make sure I avoid the more legalistic and esoteric statements, but I'll read you.
Oh my god! He did it again! I want to avoid the things that disagree with me. Oh, he just did it again. He literally understood what that just said. And he goes, well, that disagrees with me out loud. Couldn't have done a second take on this video. I'm already 17 minutes in. I guess I'm just going to have to triple the fuck down. Because things disagreed with me.